Driving down any highway in Oklahoma, you're going to run into small towns. Some of these towns are going to feel like ghost towns, and some of these towns are going to be bustling with the people that make them tick. In my mind, small towns in Oklahoma are everywhere. But the first thing I did before writing this video was look up the definition of a small town. And I found a couple, but the one I'm going to go with, what we're going to talk about, are small towns that are less than 10,000 people. And yes, there are so many small towns in Oklahoma that are much, much smaller than that. Oklahoma City started off as a small town when 10,000 people first rolled into the city in 1889. Since then, people have, of course, built up Oklahoma City, and now it's a city of nearly 750,000 people. And then people, of course, spread out and have settled in these small towns, some of which we'll talk about are like 10,000 people, some are less than 1,000 still. I'm Marcie Billen, and I'm a real estate agent here in the Oklahoma City Metro. Each week I release new content about living in Oklahoma. And if you like these videos and you find them helpful, will you go ahead and hit that like button for me so that more people will see them? And if you are thinking of buying a property or selling a property here in Oklahoma, would you give me a call? I would be thrilled to help you. So I specifically live and work in Norman, Oklahoma, and I work in a ton of the small towns that are southwest, southeast, and just plain south of Oklahoma City and Norman. So let's dig into my top 5 small towns near Oklahoma City. So the first one I want to mention is Purcell. Purcell has a population of just less than 7,000 people. It's about 37 miles from Oklahoma City and 19 miles from Norman. Now, here's where I get this mileage from. So I measured to the airport. So from Purcell, the center of Purcell, like the city center, it's 37 miles from there to the airport in Oklahoma City. So it's much further than Edmond's going to be a lot further than that, or north side Oklahoma City. I feel like a lot of people have to go to the airport a lot, so that's why I chose that one. And the distance to Norman, I'm measuring from the center of each of these cities or each of these towns that we're going to talk about, all the way to the Cleveland County Courthouse in Norman, which is in core Norman, so the very middle of the city center. Purcell is in McLean County, and it is the county seat of McLean County. And then the lake that is closest in Purcell is Purcell Lake. Or Purcell City Lake. So the average home price at the time of filming for Purcell is $210,000. There are 33 active homes available on the market right now, meaning 33 homes available for sale in Purcell. This is at the time of filming. Obviously, this changes a lot, but I wanted to give you an idea. A lot of these are brand new houses too. In terms of acreage that's available, there are currently 102 vacant properties available for sale. That's a lot. Property tax in Purcell, and this is mostly for McLean County, is 0.880%. So you take the total purchase price of your home, let's say it's $210,000 times 0.880%, and you get $1,848 would be your taxes for the year. The sales tax in McLean County and Purcell is going to be 5%. And of course, this can change in terms of I don't know how they vote and stuff on it, but it can change. So that is the Oklahoma sales tax mixed with the city and county sales tax. Fun fact about Purcell, it's actually been named the quarter horse capital of the world for more than 100 years. If you don't know, a quarter horse is a breed of horse. And I actually grew up with quarter horses. I started riding horses when I was around 8 years old. I actually got my first horse when I was 8 in 1996. And I thought I would show you this picture of our horses. This was kind of the first group of horses that we had growing up. So we have Pedro was the gray horse. That was my horse. And then Hank, the sorrel, that's the one I learned to ride on. And then we have BC, which is my dad's horse. And then Mitzi, the broodmare that we had. So the next small town in Oklahoma I want to talk about is Newalla. So Newalla is actually decently big. It has less than 10,000 people. So it's just under 10,000 at this point. The distance from Newalla to Oklahoma City Airport is 29 miles. The distance from Newalla to Norman or Norman County Courthouse, the Cleveland County Courthouse, is 30 miles. So when we talked about Purcell, it just had one school. You saw it up here on the screen. Now, Newalla has a bunch of schools that the kids will end up going to. And these schools include McLeod, Hara, Little Axe, Choctaw, Middle, and Norman. Like I even had to read them because there were so many. And the reason for that is because, and here's your fun fact, Newalla is not actually a town, it's actually unincorporated. So it used to be a town and it's not anymore. And it typically falls into counties Oklahoma County and Cleveland County. The closest lake that you're gonna have in Newalla is typically West Watkins Lake. Average home price in Newalla is around $260,000. Now, one thing to note about Newalla is it's really close to Tinker Air Force Base. So we do have a lot of active military that are working at Tinker, living in Newalla, but also civilians who work at Tinker, living in Newalla. Number of homes for sale in Newalla right now is about 18. Number of acreages or properties available that don't have a house on them is about 20. Property tax in Newalla is about 1.16%. So if you do purchase a house for $260,000 in Newalla, your actual property taxes are going to be around $3,016. No, that's not exact. Sales tax in Newalla is about 8.63%. So that is state mixed with local. Number 3 is the city of Washington. It's really a town. It's less than 1,000 people at this point. Washington is about 33 miles from Oklahoma City or Oklahoma City Airport, which is also called Will Rogers International Airport. And the distance from Norman is about 15 miles to that Cleveland County Courthouse. Schools in Washington are incredibly highly rated. Washington is in McLean County. The nearest lake is going to be Lake Thunderbird, which is actually in Norman. Average home price right now in Washington is around $223,000, and I have a feeling that's going to go up super quickly. Number of homes available for sale in Washington is 28. That is a ton of houses in a town that is less than 1,000 people. And here's the reason. There's a brand new neighborhood. There's actually a couple, but there's a brand new neighborhood that I shot. It's an Ideal Homes neighborhood, and you may want to go watch it. So I'll stick it right here for you. It's going to be called Dow's Hills. And yes, all of those houses are on an acre or more. Number of acreages available for purchase in Washington is going to be 8. Property tax in Washington is 0.88% right now, which is, so if you purchase a house for $230,000, then your property tax is probably going to be $1,926. Sorry, $1,962. Totally got those numbers mixed up. I think I mentioned this, but Washington is in McLean County. The sales tax is going to be 9%, which, yes, I understand is a lot higher than some of the other small towns. And remember, the schools are really highly rated. Fun fact about Washington that I didn't know until I looked it up, but James Winchester is actually from Washington. Yeah, I didn't know who that was either. But you may, if you like football. So he's actually the long snapper for the Kansas City Chiefs. Blanchard is the next town I want to talk to you about. This town is so popular. At this time, Blanchard is less than 9,000 people in terms of population. The distance from Oklahoma City or Oklahoma City Airport is about 23 miles. But remember that Blanchard is on the same side of the city as the airport, so it's going to seem a little bit closer, but it's a little bit further, of course, to downtown. It's about 16 miles from Blanchard, the city of Blanchard, to Cleveland County Courthouse in Norman. So Blanchard is actually in McLean County and Grady County, so it's in 2 different ones. So your taxes can vary based on whatever county you're in. Sales tax in Blanchard is 10%. Wow. It's a lot. Schools are highly rated, remember. Property taxes are going to be 0.88%, which means that if you purchase a house for $283,000, then your property taxes should be $2,490. Blanchard is an extremely tight-knit community. Recently, I had some clients who had called me from YouTube, and we had to look at some houses in Blanchard, and we went to lunch at a local diner, and we sat down, and immediately people on both sides of us started talking to us. This is the small town feel in Oklahoma that often people are looking for. Fun fact, Blanchard is also home of the May Days Festival, and actually that's the first thing that one of the guys we sat down next to started talking about was this festival, because thousands of people come to town and they have different booths and games for the kids, and it's the 3rd weekend in May. Goldsby has become an incredibly popular town in Oklahoma. The population of Goldsby is less than 3,000 people, but I have a feeling those numbers are going to go up super quick. Goldsby is 26 miles from Oklahoma City Airport and about 8 miles from Norman. That's why it's so popular. Sorry, I had the window open and they're building a house down the street from my house, and so I was hearing a little bit of hammering. So I wanted to close the window. Living in Goldsby, your kids might end up going to Norman Public Schools, maybe Washington, maybe Purcell, maybe Newcastle, maybe Blanchard. Kind of depends on where you are in Goldsby. Closest lake is going to be Lake Thunderbird State Park. Again, that's in Norman. If you've kind of noticed a theme here, and why I'm looking at Norman is because what I'm seeing is people moving not only from other states into small towns around Norman and Oklahoma City, but also from like other towns in Oklahoma that are further away. And I think one of the big reasons for it is this. Norman is the third largest city in Oklahoma. So while Oklahoma City has like more than 700,000 people, which if you're from a small town in Oklahoma and it's pretty far away from Oklahoma City, you're just not used to that volume of humans. However, if you need to be around doctors and airports and things, then you need to live closer in. And people choose Norman because it's a city of 128,000 people. And listen, for me, coming from the town of Claremore, whenever I moved here in 2007, which Norman was probably like 95,000 people at that point, it was really big to me, but it has everything that we might need. So many grocery stores, all the doctors that you could want. People are using Norman as its own metropolitan area. So the average home price in Goldsby is $402,000. The reason for this is we have a lot of brand new builds in Goldsby, and these are beautiful houses. They're usually on a little bit of acreage, which is really helpful. And also the closer you get to Norman, the higher those house prices are going to be. There are 19 acreages right now available for sale in Goldsby. Property taxes are still pretty low. They're still at 0.88%. So that means if you purchase a house for $402,000, then your property taxes should be $3,537. Sales tax in Goldsby is going to be around 8.5%. And the fun fact I want to share with you about Goldsby is there's actually this really interesting community that they are building right now. It's been around for a couple of years, so it's a mixed use community. So there's businesses and there are homes, and these homes are kind of like these German style homes. It's a very walkable community, beautiful sidewalks. And there's a pizza place right now, and there's like a coffee shop slash we had an event there. It's very cute, and it's out in Goldsby, like kind of out there in the middle of nowhere, but these houses are amazing. And they have Watusi cows. So I went to go see those for you. These 5 towns, of course, are just a sampling of the small towns in Oklahoma. If there's a small town I didn't mention and you think it might be a good video, please drop it in the comments for me. And be sure to catch this video next.